This is the Criterion Creeps podcast, and tonight we're talking about F for Fake from 1973, directed by Orson Welles. No tagline, RJ. Very sad to see that. We'd love to see this poster for F for Fake. Come and check us out in the theater, folks. You like film essays? Well, we got a synopsis, though, from old Letterboxd.
Okay.
Documents the lives of infamous fakers Elmire Dehore and Clifford Irving. Dehore, who later committed suicide to avoid more prison time, made his name. Yeah, they don't talk about that in the documentary, do they?
Why is it in the synopsis if it didn't happen in the movie?
Well, I just want to, it's like additional info. Made his name by selling forged works of art by painters like Picasso and Matisse. Irving was infamous for writing a fake autobiography of Howard Hughes. Welles moves between documentary and fiction as he examines the fundamental elements of fraud and the people who commit fraud at the expense of others.
It's kind of like what we do. I know I say that a lot, but it's true.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the only fraudcast.
It is the fraudcast. I'm really confused too, though. Still, why they would include that tidbit that guy killed himself? Like that'd be like if for Hook they were like 20 years later Robin Williams would passed away, and it's just like, why would that be included in the synopsis for Hook?
One's a fictional character in the story, and it's a fictional story, and that wouldn't be relevant to it. This is about a man who did kill himself.
It didn't happen in the time frame, though. I feel like it's irrelevant.
It happened only 4 years after.
Okay,
it's a little. It's a little. I don't know. It's a little like, oh, by the way, this guy took some sleeping pills to overdose.
I mean, yeah, okay. It's like I'm not mad about it. I'm just I find it strange that it's included. That's all.
You mad, bro? You're mad at the synopsis?
Well, frequently, but I just don't get it. Which, I mean, is the theme of this podcast, so whatever.
This is true.
Yeah. Continue, please.
So, this is a film that I have seen before a couple of times. Last time was about 6 years ago, because I wanted to do a revisit, because I didn't really remember much of it all. Because way back, in those tumultuous days of the mid-2000s, young Jarrett, young Francois, he was very interested in con men, hustlers, pranks. This was like a weird space that I found really fascinating, because I found that as I was learning more about contemporary art practice, this was something that I was very interested in terms of like, I felt like sometimes contemporary art was a con.
Tell me more about your research into contemporary art practice.
Oh, no one wants to hear.
This is news to me.
Nobody wants to hear about that.
I don't know.
It's like, you know what? It's like, doesn't matter what period of time you read into this stuff, you pretty well feel the same way, I think.
Well, I know I will. But, I mean, you might be able to convince some of the other listeners out there. Yeah. You're not going to change my mind, but,
It's about giving them your confidence. I really look forward to one day watching Homicide, the David Mamet movie, which is in the collection.
Like, you just look forward to you watching it, or watching it with me?
Well, watching it again, because we don't watch Criterions on this show, beyond the ones that are contractually obligated.
No, not at all. And that's fine. People are okay with that.
Yeah. What did you know about F for Fake before this week, RJ?
Well, as much as it pains me because people will yell at us on YouTube, not a lot. Like, I knew what F for Fake was, but once when I was actually interested in it, it was when we were about to start the podcast, and then I was like, I won't watch it until we get there, I guess. And I mean, 4 years later, here we are. Mm-hmm. I knew about it. I think at the time, like years ago, it was being pitched as a movie about making movies, which I don't think is necessarily the case. But I remember that was always the pitch that I had heard, a movie about making, or a movie about movies. And I was like, that sounds cool. But then I don't actually think that's what this movie is about. But that's just like my opinion, man.
It's not.
So
it's really not
that's
a movie about movies.
Have you heard that too, though? Like, I think on Criterion's page, I think it was even like put in that little subgenre.
Well, so F for Fake,
which isn't accurate.
It's kind of about 6 different topics.
Yes. Whoa, 6. I know 3.
Well, we've got Elmire, not Elmer.
Elmer Fudd?
Elmer Dahori. Elmire, who is the I guess it was the starting point for this project.
Yeah.
Orson had been tapped to do a project on Elmire Dahori, who is this noted art forger who'd been found out, this Hungarian man who could do a pretty mean impression of a painter.
Matisse? A pretty mean Matisse?
A mean Matisse.
Do you think he did any Degas?
A pretty Picasso. A Degas?
Yeah, do you think he did any Degas?
That might be a little bit more on the... He probably could have.
I mean, I know that's more sculpting, right? Or did Degas do paintings too? Degas. Anyways, continue.
You like that? You like those French Impressionists, RJ?
I like Degas. Was he French?
He was.
What are other French Impressionists? Throw out some names.
Oh my God!
I don't have an art history degree. I don't know them all offhand.
Well, yeah. I mean, because Monet.
I know about Monet. Yeah. Actually, Andrew and I have been watching The Last Man on Earth, the Will Forte show, and there's a lot of famous artwork in that.
Whoa! You like Renoir?
Papa
Jean.
Papa John? I know Papa John, the pizza mogul.
Yeah, and the director of Grand Illusion, as it turns out.
Papa John was?
Yep.
Well, I mean, see, this is why I do this podcast. I just learn a little bit of new things.
You learn so much from me.
Yeah, I do. And I'm not going to look into it. I'm just going to take it as fact.
Yeah, Papa John Renoir.
Papa John Renoir. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. You're just a country boy, RJ.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know much, but I know Degas. That's the one I got, okay?
So there's Elmire. And then you have Clifford Irving, who is an author, who wrote a book about Elmire being a fake. But he himself is also a faker, as he apparently fabricated a interview with Howard Hughes, which is a third point of topic for this documentary, pseudo film essay. So we get like kind of a Cliff Notes version of Howard Hughes, and not even at all. Like it assumes you know who Howard Hughes is.
Yes.
And it turns out it aligns pretty closely to the casino episode of Simpsons.
I mean, when I watched this, I kind of I was like, is this what that episode was based off of? Or
It is.
And then I went, I guess.
I will say it's like my knowledge of Howard Hughes is The Aviator and James Ellroy novels, like the American tabloid books, because Howard Hughes shows up in that, and because he has an unquenchable thirst for Mormon blood.
And so wait, what does he consume the blood?
Yes, blood transfusions.
Like digest it?
Blood transfusions. But they do call him Drac. That is one of the nicknames they have for him. And he's holding up in Las Vegas in that hotel room.
Why Mormon blood? Because they don't
pure.
drink.
That's exactly pure Mormon blood.
Wow. What blood would you want?
You can ask James Ellroy about that. I'm not sure what he wants anymore.
Oh, what do you think he's up to? Where can I get a hold of him? Is he
celebrating the great works of police officers. Loves the
James Ellroy?
Yeah, he loves the LAPD. He loves them.
So he's on 4chan?
With a bow tie.
Oh, okay. I'll find him.
Yeah, you will.
I'll sniff him out.
Anyway, so you got Elmire, you got Cliff, you got Howard, and you got Orson Welles. We get a little snippet of autobiography in this.
Just a little bit, not too much.
And then you get Oja.
She's Hungarian too. There's a lot of Hungarian. I didn't realize this was such a strong pro-Hungarian film, and I was pretty happy.
I know you. I strongly identify as a man of Hungarian extraction.
So not even kidding. This isn't totally related, but some work acquaintances last week. It was just kind of someone brought up one of their other names. They're like, "Oh, what is that?" And they're like, "Oh, that's German." And then they looked at me and they're like, "What about you?" And one of the ladies I work with just went Hungarian, and I went, "Whoa." I was like, "That's a deep pull." And I was like, "How do you know that?" And they're like, "Body hair and sweat." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I mean, they're not wrong.
What? Well, is this like in the lunchroom, and were you like just not wearing a shirt at the time, and you're just like flaunting that hair and sweat?
Well, I mean, the facial hair is part of it, Jarrett. But
I
have worn short sleeve shirts before, and
at work.
Yes,
behind the Burger King.
Behind the Burger King, and I have worn some shorts before. So, I mean, the sweat is evident. The body hair, I was surprised that they picked up on that. I mean, it's true, but I was like, I didn't know you guys could see that, and now I'm embarrassed.
A regular wolfman here.
Well, I just thought I'd brought it up, or I would bring it up. So, my point was, I was happy to see the representation of Hungarian culture in this film.
Yeah.
So good stuff.
It made you happy?
I wasn't mad at it. I'll tell you that much.
Wow. Oja is Croatian.
Yeah, they're. I mean.
That's Yugoslavia, RJ.
Well, I mean, I think all of Europe's all kind of same house, different room, right? Does that make sense? You know what I mean?
Huh.
In a manner of speaking.
Okay. Very well. Very well. And then, so you have those 5 figures, and then, arguably, you have the kind of the metafilm.
What is the metafilm? The act of fraud?
The, like, I don't know, where it's like, where he's talking to us and saying, "Ooh, this is what I'm doing," coyly.
And then wink.
Be clever with me. Can we be clever together? But not really, because I am the maestro. It is my hand at the editing switch.
Are you speaking of Orson, or are you speaking of yourself at this moment?
Orson.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
apparently he like. I was reading the accompanying essay for this. And was it Jonathan Rosenbaum or something like that who wrote this?
Sure.
Talking about he was in Paris, back in '72, and he had an opportunity to sit down and interview Orson. He's like, "What are you working on?" He's like, "I'm working on this documentary." And it's like Hoax, I think at the time it was called. And apparently it just had like a whole bunch of different titles over eventually, and it kept getting kind of like he was tweaking it, working on it for like 7 years or some bullshit, and it had different titles, and then people started making jokes that it's like, oh, it's it's another Orson Welles movie. It's never coming out, and it became the Orson Welles film because it was called Fake. And then finally, I guess maybe it was Oja who came up with F for Fake, and that's what we're stuck with. And I don't know if you checked out the 9-minute trailer that Orson Welles made for this that never actually got released.
I didn't know it existed.
Yeah, it's I think it's on the channel, the Criterion channel as well. It's on YouTube, and it's
I'll watch it.
And it's its own short film of footage that wasn't even used in F for Fake. It's all new stuff, but it pretty well tells the story all over again of the film, which is disjunctive editing.
Disjunctive. Look at you.
Remember that? That's an old hashtag of mine.
Disjunctive editing? I remember.
There's a lot of shifting.
You're a big fan of nonlinear storytelling, correct?
It depends.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Are we talking? Go on.
No, I didn't realize there was a watchable trailer. I did watch the Orson Welles nose thing for this. I don't know if that's a logball in Letterboxd, but I did watch that little short that's on the channel. Did you check that one out?
I did not.
The history of his nose?
No.
Are you familiar with that story?
Nope.
Did you know that he wore a fake nose for like every one of his movies? Except for like one that I think Othello was the only one he didn't wear a fake nose for.
I was not aware.
Because he was embarrassed by it. He said his nose was too baby looking. So he would get a fake nose for every one of his movies. And then it was actually really interesting. Like, it's only like I don't know, not even 10 minutes long or something, but it was about how he would kind of get these makeup men, and like some of them were actors, and then that's why they were recurring in movies of his, because he needed someone to be able to apply his nose for these movies. And his biggest thing was he didn't like his nose, so he got fake ones.
Well, isn't that like maybe the namesake of Orson Pig from Orson's Farm, the accompanying of Garfield and Friends?
It must be.
No,
for sure, yeah. But I'm surprised you didn't know about that one, Jarrett.
It feels like cartoon bullying. Saturday morning cartoon bullying of Orson Welles, who was probably dead by a few years when this came out. See, that's like one thing is there was a period of time where these animators, they love Orson Welles. Orson Welles references pop up in strange places. And Animaniacs, they loved him. The Critic, Simpsons.
I mean, I get it. I think Orson Welles has a very dominating presence. He's got a very eloquent manner of speaking, Jared, but it's authoritative. Like when he talks, it commands that you listen. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I get it. I can see why he would have been a hot topic. But do you think if he had saw that Looney Tunes thing, do you think he would have been sad?
Yeah, he might have just wanted it done and over with then and there. It's like, I'm not a cartoon pig.
A cartoon pig in this world. That's how we talk.
That's right.
I can do Orson Welles all night for you, buddy, if you want me to.
That sounds fantastic.
Okay.
Outstanding.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
you just tell me when.
Yeah, how do you even break down? There's no plot. This is like not even a documentary. It's like footage assembled.
Yeah.
To kind of talking about disjunctively of events that occur. It opens up with like kind of a framing device involving a train, which, I mean, we know some people like to talk about trains in essay form, how it really about inertia. Remember that? Remember when Divorce Italian Style?
That review made no sense what they were talking about. Like, I don't get it. I don't know what they were talking about with that stuff. Really reaching.
The film opens up with Orson Welles doing a magic trick with a kid at a train station, and he tells us that everything we see for the next hour will be based on solid fact.
Yeah.
Did you recall that? Did you remember that? Did you realize what was going on later on? And he went, "Oh man, he got me good."
I actually didn't, and I texted Andrea watched a little bit with me, and then she kind of lost interest. So she went upstairs, and then when they were talking about Picasso, they were talking about like Hungarians again. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, are they saying that Picasso was Hungarian? I was like, I don't think that's true.
No.
So I texted her. I was just like, was Picasso Hungarian? I didn't like. I know it would have been easier to Google it. But,
yes.
But I was like, well, my wife has an art history degree. I was like, I'm going to put that to use here. I'm going to ask her what the deal is. So I was like, was Picasso Hungarian? And she's like, no. I was like, oh, okay. And then it didn't really click with me until like 5 minutes later, where Jonathan Frakes came in and he dropped we made it up. Pure fiction. We made it up. Not true.
Pure West.
Pure fiction. Pure West.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got to say that dear listener Rob Eagle really came through.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That was it's a good picture. I
envisioned it immediately, and I was like, he can pull this off. He's got to do a little bit of a swap, and he did it. Marvelous.
A little swap and tickle, if you know what I mean.
Jesus.
It came out different than I wanted it to. That's not really what I intended, but
that's what they always say.
Oh well. Yeah, it was a good job.
Good. So we get a little mini film in F for Fake, RJ. We get a little bit of oogling.
Oogling?
Man oogling this Oja strolling around in a mini skirt, walking up and down, and a bunch of leering dudes watching.
What ethnicity do you think those dudes were? Or not ethnicity? What country European country do you think they were from?
Let's see here. I know the answer. RJ.
Where was it filmed, Jarrett?
It was in a location known as Rome, Italy.
Really? Now, excuse me, Jarrett. I didn't actually know that. I was just making a bold assumption there. And again, I gotta say, it's not me. It's Criterion.
At least, but the men did not. They were able to keep themselves together. They weren't like thrusting at her.
They were clearly insatiable, but at least they had some self-control over it.
Maybe they were just they were too overwhelmed. Because we get some candid camera. You know,
yes.
We get a little bit of like, oh, look at these guys. Where's the sound effect? Orson's talking over. It's like, we thought we'd make it a short film.
Do you think that they told those people later and signed a waiver to have their likeness included in a film?
Fuck them. That was before FOIP.
But do you think that one of those people, like one of their like descendants, could like, I don't know, who produced this film, like Paramount or something?
Oh yeah, Paramount was all over it.
20th Century Fox. Do you think they could like go after them and be like, we want money?
And they go, fuck off. Your dad was a pervert. He got caught.
Well,
he's
I mean, that is a potential downside there, I suppose. But yikes.
And then we throw to Elmire.
And what was he doing?
Chatting and having parties. Walking around in his sweater with his like leather belt thing, his waist, his big thick, like this is like the 60s. This is that late 60s 70s garb. You would definitely see like a guy show up on like original Star Trek dressed this way from like some planet, and you'd be like, ooh, this is cutting edge. It was the fashion of the time. Roman Polanski would be having a party and people would show up, roll up like this.
It's all coming back. I think like those belts that look like they belong in a Western store, but for tackle for horses kind of thing, not for people.
It's a man saddle.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. For sure. Yeah. Fashion.
Only on this podcast.
Yeah, we're the fashion podcast. We're clearly not a Criterion podcast.
Oh yeah, we get a little. Was it Ibiza? Is the name of the
Ibiza? Yeah, they say it a lot. Ibiza. Yeah. This is Ibiza.
No.
Ibiza.
So we see him. He's a man. What do you call it? Not a gadfly. He's everyone wants to know him. Everyone wants to be seen with him because there's controversy.
Oh yeah. Well, he's the celebrity of the town. He's the town pumping, Jarrett. Everyone wants a ride.
Wow, and there's there's young men that come all the way from the Midwest of America to be his bodyguard.
I was a little bit confused by that because they bring it up and it doesn't come back really.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess Orson didn't want to delve too deep into that. The relationship that's there because you go, I think I've got this Elmire guy pegged.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of like, I didn't realize this guy's celebrity reached a point where people would cross oceans to just be around him. Do you know what I mean?
They want scenesters. They want a piece, and they're like, hey, let's hang out. Hey, I'll live with you. If other things happen, sure, whatever.
I guess. Is that what we're doing?
I hope not.
Oh, never mind.
This is the elaborate grooming of the podcast here.
Well, I didn't want to say it, but okay.
So, then we're introduced to one Clifford Irving, who's very much like, I don't know, seems like a real dad, straight shooter, very serious journalist who published a biography of Elmire called Fake. But whatever, like, I guess there's just the, what do you want to call it, irony that this Clifford Irving guy would write a book on a faker, and then he himself would be involved with his own fake authorized biography of one Howard Hughes, the richest man in the world back when.
Is he still?
Well, he's dead. He's very dead.
Oh, Did anyone cry when he died?
Some might have.
Just a few?
Some. I don't know.
Okay. I was just curious. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to create a profile here.
Okay. I got you.
Tell me what you know about. Oh no, you already did.
Yeah. So I mean, like Howard Hughes is like, in my mind, is just like caricature of a person. So it is kind of neat seeing old footage of him, because I don't know how many people in 2021 are like, oh yeah, old Howard Hughes. But I mean, Clifford Irving I kind of knew because I was reading these books about hoaxes and fakes and stuff like that, so I'd seen his name pop up, and so that's I think what probably drew me to watching F for Fake, and also being Orson Welles was like, oh, double plus good. This is checking lots of boxes for me.
I mean, Orson Welles is just the burger on top of the cake. You know what I mean?
Burger on top of the cake. That sounds disgusting.
But he would eat it.
Is that a cooked hamburger though? Or is it tartare?
I don't know how he would have eaten his hamburger. I'm going to guess well.
Wells?
I bet he burnt his... Man, am I good.
Well,
I'm just so good, Jarrett.
I'm just that much better.
No.
Yeah.
That was me. Whether I know that I'm doing it or not is
it's some conscious brilliance.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, that's what Orson Welles is doing too. You think he knew what he was doing all the time? Nah, man. That dude just talked, and then people brought out the elegance of it.
Him and his poor pig snout.
I felt bad when he was talking about it, because his thing, he was just like, I don't like my nose, but he didn't want to commit to a nose job, and then he used it for his acting. All his characters had different noses. It was very interesting, but also a pretty I mean, we know that his makeup guys were good from Citizen Kane, but like pretty good mark on cinema makeup effects that. I didn't even know he had a fake nose in all those other movies I've seen him in, and it's just like, man, that's pretty good. I wasn't really paying attention either, but like, you know what I mean.
It's real. Now it's all about prosthetic acting.
Oh, and getting fake genitalia that's just dangling and crashing into shit for
kicks.
Well, I mean, it's all about authenticity, Jarrett.
It's about popping the boys on stats. Yeah. That's what it's about. Giving everyone a good laugh and go, oh, look at this. Prosthetics.
Yeah. Prosthetic.
It's like, how are you different than a prop comic?
Like from Carrot Top, you mean?
Yeah.
Are you saying that
Tilda Swinton
from the hit Suspiria remake from Luca Guadagnini is equivalent to Carrot Top stand-up prop comedy?
Who's to say?
I don't know.
RJ, what do you know about authenticity?
Not much. I've never really been I don't think anyone's ever used that word with me involved in it ever. So
the authentic.
The authentic? Well, I know that many things in life aren't real, so authenticity can't be real.
But how about auras?
Like strong positive auras, or
how about vibes?
I know about vibes.
Okay, all right.
I definitely know about vibes. A lot of people talk about vibes. Some people say we're a vibe.
Yeah.
Andrea used to have a car that was a vibe. It was a Pontiac Vibe.
Yeah. And then what happened?
Someone backed into it one day. We weren't even in the car. We weren't even driving, but they backed into it and dented the panels, and it had to be written off.
That's bad vibes.
It was a bad vibe at that point.
No. How do you feel about old Orson Welles inserting his own story of his being now that he's an expert on the con, because he pulled off that War of the Worlds thing? Remember that?
I was a little bit surprised that he was talking about that in here. I was like, is he just kind of pumping his own pump here for a little bit, or what's going on?
He's framing it as like, well, I mean, I know a thing or two about tricking people.
I mean,
and everybody in our craft, if it's acting or storytelling or movie making, we're all just tricking you. What is real, RJ?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Very few things that are real in this life, Jarrett.
do you think this film has the power to instill that wow factor, to make people consider that possibility?
I mean, I've been riding that boat for a while, so I'm probably a bad person to
Yeah,
ask.
you're well arrived at that point.
Yeah, the only thing that's real is the illusion of free choice, so or free will, in my mind. So, again, I'm the wrong guy to ask, man. But I don't know. What do you think, Jarrett?
About what was the question?
I don't know. You asked it.
Exactly. Oh, do I think it has? Can people learn something from F for Fake in terms of like, I don't know, truth, or
Well, what about truth?
or things
Justice,
things
and
things
the
not being
American
signed?
way?
I don't know. It seems kind of hilarious in some ways, considering the state of how the internet is used, how it's just like exasperated, like these things.
Fakes.
Deep fakes. Fuck, I didn't even get there yet, but I was Google searching something earlier for the show here, and the first thing that popped up was something about deep fakes, about like Tom Cruise deep fakes. And yeah, I mean, so F for Fake is kind of like, oh yeah, that's so quaint, that's nice of you to think of that, Orson. But 1973, different story. I don't know if that's what people are watching this for, or they're just watching it for the Wellesiness. They're watching it probably for the editing, which is again
Disjunctive at best.
Disjunctive at best, or artfully disjunctive. It bounces back and forth. So one video I watched before we got on here was do you know that it's now a dead YouTube channel. They stopped posting, but it's like Every Frame a Painting. Do you remember that guy and his partner?
Yeah.
They were doing videos. Like one of their last ones was like that, like 13-minute thing on like Marvel movies that has like almost 10 million views. One of his favorite films was F for Fake, because he found it very important in terms of the video or the film essay, and how he's some good commentary track drops from, I think it's one of the guys who worked on Bad Day at Bad Rock or Black Rock, and talking about Empire Strikes Back, because I think it's like the editor for that. And there's this cliche, and this might go down. This is some real Horizon talk, but one of the fundamentals in terms of like good editing, pacing that gets probably taught in like every film school anywhere in terms of like narrative and such is. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, so when you're when you're jumping back and forth between narratives, it's important to like have something that you build up to a moment, and then you cut to having a dual story happening back and forth, and it kind of just helps with flow. And the one bad thing would be doing the and then format, because that can make people bored. And he talks about that, and he loves this film. He says it was very influential on him in terms of like how to pace and stuff like that. He learned it all from this film. But it's like, pretty sure people were doing that beforehand. Like, you literally just had a guy who cut Empire Strikes Back 6 years after this came out. Pretty sure that people were thinking about this outside of F for Fake. But people come to these things probably in film school, F for film school.
Wow.
And now it's very like, you watch like an Adam Curtis documentary, and it has a concerted point, because it is a documentary about something like that, trying to instill something about the now and today. And I don't think F for Fake does that whatsoever, and it's not its intention though either. But this feels like a artifact to me now. But where are we at with my recap though? So he talks about War of the Worlds. They talk about just like the whole idea of like, you take these Elmire paintings to all these different art galleries, this idea of what experts will say. One person will say, oh, of course it's obviously a fake, and then the next place goes, well, it's obviously a real one. And it tells you nobody actually fucking knows anything, and you go, oh, wow.
It's almost as if it never mattered ever.
Well, I mean, fuck, like
Jarrett.
every goddamn day, all I see online is how experts know nothing, but we also need to listen to experts. But not all experts are created equal, and anybody can call themselves an expert. And when you're talking about these intangible things like who drew this, you go, I don't know. If someone tries hard enough and figures it out, it turns out you can replicate this very easily. And That's why we need NFTs. That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, invest in crypto.
No.
Good night, folks. Non-fungible is the future. Hook up that car battery in the desert. Fuck the planet. That's
Wow.
real. That's investing. Get that frame of like some guy getting punched in the face or breaking his leg on another guy's leg on the weekend. Make someone rich, not yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Could we make a podcast episode as an NFT?
We could actually. There was someone sold like a news article. I think the New York Times sold one for thousands of dollars. And you go, who got the money? Who actually got that? Good question. WWE's getting into NFTs, and Wizards of the Coast, they're going to start selling NFTs too, because why the fuck not?
I'm not going to lie to you, Jarrett. NFTs completely encapsulate
everything.
My belief that art isn't real, and I think that this movie solidifies that for me.
This is
the combination of those two things.
An NFT for fake.
Yeah, I was gonna say NFT for fake. Like, I think it's. I don't know, man. I'm getting too bummed out by the real world. I like watching Orson Welles do it in the 70s, but now that I see like Kevin Smith making entire films as NFTs that he's going to go sell, I go.
Do you think that's actually going to happen? Do you think it'll? I feel like that's
already happening.
That's marketing though too. And if no one cares about NFTs by the time it's done, he'll have a movie made and he can just do it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah. Well, I think we better jump on it as soon as we can. What do you think someone would be willing to pay for an NFT Creeps episode? Like 80,000?
You don't know until you put it out there. Let the market decide.
I'll tell you this. I will do that live Salo viewing with the pudding as an NFT if someone will pay for it.
Sounds like a plan.
Mm-hmm. What were we talking about?
How do you feel about Elmir burning his drawings? Just he does them for the camera and goes, hey, how much do you think this would sell for? I don't know, $25,000, $50,000. Up in flames it goes. Which
I respect it.
I've met people that have gotten really freaked out by the casualness in which an artist can destroy their work, because they're just like, I'll just make another one. It's not precious to me. And they go, oh, but that's a precious object. That's a thing. Like we have to protect it. And you're like, oh no, fuck. It's like it doesn't fit in the frame. Cut it. Make it smaller. And they just hack it away at it. And then you just go, yeah. Pearls clutched.
I mean, one time we lost like an entire podcast episode and then did it again right afterwards, and we didn't feel
that was great though, because that was back when we spoke really fast that one time.
Yeah. I mean, it was a mild annoyance because we had to redo it, but like I didn't feel bad at losing the content. Just delete this episode right now. Who gives a shit? It'll just never come out. It'll be the perfect tribute to Orson Welles if we just never release this. Just an hour of just dead silence. That's all you need to put out.
Right.
That's what I would do.
So, the good hour of this is dedicated to the Elmir and Cliff Irving stuff, and then it transitions to the last half hour of this, which is a story about Picasso and grandfather and Oja walking around again. Lots of footage of her walking around. And I think at one point it's like, oh, it's some forgery because it's actually not her. It's her sister who looks like her. Whoa.
Enough.
Who cares? Who cares, people who talk about these things? No, it doesn't fucking add a thing to it. Anyway.
I mean, I'm sure something like that happened.
So we get some like docudrama reenactment, like on a shoestring budget, and storytelling, very dramatic, with blinds of a photo of Picasso's piercing eyes. And they act and they go, and every time I watch this, RJ, I check right the fuck out.
At the Picasso part?
Yeah. I'm not in. Like that final big back and forth of theirs, and then they go, but then it never really happened. Woo! And then Fellini, and isn't the life a carnival?
I mean, they really paint Picasso as a predator. It seemed to me. And
he was an alpha predator, RJ.
Oh, he actually was?
Oh yeah, he got down.
Ugh. Well, as I said, I don't have an art history degree, so I don't know
Oh
such
yeah,
things.
that's the only way you find out who are all the sex pests and
Yeah,
all that. Yeah, you gotta take art history.
I'm pretty sure that's how it works, man. Like, I'm not a doctor, but I think that's how it works. You know what I mean?
But so RJ, what
Yes.
what do you think of uh, old Orson Welles' paraphrasing of Picasso? That art is a lie, and that is what makes us see the truth.
I'm of two minds of it.
I
I
feel like
agree that
this is a big one here because this is probably the entire thing you'll be talking about or a driving force of as you've said in the past once you're here and there is art isn't real, and that is exactly what this is all about. But isn't that it?
I mean, yeah, it is. And believe it or not, Jared, I did not, as I said, I did not really know that that was the main takeaway from this film. I always thought this was a making of movie. So I didn't realize that that was it. And now I feel like my originality is being challenged because it's like there's no more original ideas in the world other than the new MCU movies we get year by year. That's the only real art, I suppose. But no, I've long been of the mindset that art isn't real, and I stand by that. And as I said earlier, I think this just kind of solidifies things for me. Can we have distractions? Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. Can we have the illusion of entertainment? Oh yes. Oh yeah. Orson knew. He liked a good French champagne, just like anyone else. But he knew that it didn't mean anything, Jarrett. And I think that's what the real takeaway from that commercial was. I don't think I don't think he was being lazy and drunk. I think he realized that it didn't matter, that it wasn't real. And I think that nobody else sees that except for me. But I'm here to tell you what it is. Tell it like it is, okay? So anyways, I didn't know that. But once they started really getting into the art isn't real thing, I really perked up and I went, "Hey, wait a minute."
This is speaking my language.
I said, "This is what I've been trying to say for 4 years on this podcast." And I was like, "Finally, it's happening. It happened." And I feel completely vindicated. I did it. I did it. What was your question?
Oh, I think it's just about the concluding statement about art is a lie, which is not
Yes.
that far off from art isn't real,
Same thing.
or it is real and could be a lie, and that is what makes us see the truth.
What I said earlier, the only thing that's real is the illusion of free will. You know what I mean, Jared?
Are you or do you believe in recidivism?
I'm more of a stoicism kind of thing.
Oh,
Yeah, just really leaning towards Buddhism. That all life is suffering, nothing matters. That's a whole religion in a nutshell, right? You can do that.
that's one of them. I know a friend of mine was reading up on Stoicism and reading the Stoicism Reddit for a bit because
Ooh.
it sounded like it resonated a bit in terms of
Uh-huh.
their own kind of vague Buddhist sort of way of thinking. But then as you start getting into what these Stoicists are all about, you start going, nah, this isn't for me.
What are they all about?
I don't know. I didn't do the reading myself. I can't remember.
Oh.
I can't remember the conversations exactly, but it turned to be a dead end, like a lot of this shit winds up being.
My superficial understanding is that it's materialism is bad.
Wow,
I don't know
huge,
much more than that.
huge.
Huge, huge. Uh, so, what were we talking about again? Yeah, I agree with the finishing sentiment of this film. I've never felt more seen or represented. And then this movie, as a whole, the Hungarianness, the hard, like, unrelenting expression that art isn't anything. Yeah, this movie was made for me, I think.
Made for you. Wow. All right. Well,
I think so.
damn. Well, I guess I mean that kind of is ahead of my question at this point, which would be, RJ, what do you think for F for Fake?
Oh, I love this thing. I think it's great. Well, I mean, it's not. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 slam dunk, Jarrett. There's a few things like I can see now going back. The Picasso stuff is probably. I mean, I didn't know the history of Picasso, so I was like, I'll see where this goes. But at the same time, I was like, it seems a little fishy.
Yeah, you still don't know the history of Picasso.
I don't, but I do know he's not Hungarian now, so that's good. Yeah. But even when watching it, I was like, I don't know if this is the case, and even if it is, what are they trying to tell me, that he was just some kind of old pervert who hung out and stared at ladies through the window? I was like, that's fine. So I wasn't as that story I wasn't as interested in, and I could see, like you said, on rewatch I probably wouldn't be interested. But I think Orson Welles is just a magnificent storyteller. It's like I was saying before, like his actual like narration of things is very imposing. I think like it draws you in, and it's just like, yeah, you better fucking listen to this because he's talking. Orson is talking. That's how I felt, at least. Whenever he was talking, I was just like, tell me more, bud. I'm here. I'm listening. So I was really on board with that. He brings it all together very nice. The editing's awesome. I really like that. I do like how it bounces around so much. I could see that being dizzying for some people. I thought it was great. I liked it. And then even the back at the ranch kind of stuff I thought was really good too. And I did like how casual some of it was played off, where Orson Welles is just like, ooh, I don't know about that. Well, what about this? Like, I don't know. He seems very like it's very clearly what he wants to do in that moment, but it's very casual, and it's just like, man, he's just one of the boys. He probably likes having a cold one in the park. You know what I mean, Jarrett? Like with some of the other boys. So I was like, just terrific. So that stuff was so cool. I did really like Elmir's story. I just thought that was interesting. I was like, this seems like a fun dude. Like, this is the kind of thing I do want to know more about. So his story was cool. Book guy, that guy's story was cool. Do I know what his name was? No. Does it matter?
Big Cliff.
No. Yeah, Cliff. Big Cliff, or whatever you just said. His story was interesting too. And then I think I think it was pretty quick into it, where I was just like, I feel like this guy writing the books is the one who's not doing stuff. And like, I mean, they say it pretty openly early on too, and I was like, oh yeah, okay. So those stories are cool. The Orson Welles War of the Worlds stuff, I mean, I didn't mind seeing it, but kind of like you said, I was like, I don't really, like, I get why it's here, but I don't know if it needs to be.
Are you familiar?
Other than kind of a pat on the back.
The one thing I kind of just completely forgot about till now was that there was actually a adaptation of the Clifford Irving story in a Richard Gere movie as Clifford Irving called The Hoax, that came out in 2006.
If we had known, I wouldn't have watched it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it before, and it didn't stand out in any way because I completely forgot it existed, and I definitely watched it back then.
Yeah. I mean, you can't watch them all, Jared. That's fine. Especially the Richard Gere movies. I feel like opinion has shifted on Richard Gere lately.
Lately? You mean like people are for Richard Gere as opposed to against?
Against.
Oh,
so maybe it hasn't shifted.
It's more of the same.
More of the same, I suppose. I don't know what else. What else is there to say?
And yeah, I also forgot. Who directed The Hoax? Old Lasse Hallström, director of My Life as a Dog.
Really? Yeah. I do like that guy.
No.
I like his life as a dog. I think he's an interesting dog, and I'd take that dog for a walk.
A boy dog?
I mean,
because my life as a dog is about a boy. It's just like, is this like a hybrid? A double mutant hybrid?
Really? Coming out of Europe, though, potentially.
Yeah, out of the Scandinavian places.
Oh. Well, that's okay. Better than okay, some would say. I don't know if I have anything else to say about F for Fake. I thought it was good. Like I said, I don't think it's a slam dunk right on you, but I did feel seen in this movie, so that's something to be said about that. I guess.
Yeah, and I like the one thing that I can't pull it up on Letterboxd currently, which is going to be the death of our Who Hates segment because it's just not there. Maybe these people will not be challenged this time. I did copy and paste my selections though.
I have the page up, but I don't think I'll be able to click to go to their pages if it's not here, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yikes. Okay.
Yeah. So it goes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So F for Fake for me, it's to me it's diminished over time. Like that I've watched this. It's like easy enough to watch, but there is like some stuff in it where not a whole lot's happening. And I know a lot of people from the Creepsville extended universe and people just on Letterboxd, they love it. They lap it up. They're watching it now and they're loving it. I'm not sure if it's a rewatch for them or first time view, but over the last few viewings of mine, spaced out over the years, you kind of go back to it and I don't know. It's interesting, but am I in love with this? No. Even though, despite the fact that it's like it checks so many boxes.
Mm-hmm. Which boxes does it check?
Orson Welles, film essays, magicians, con artists. These are all stuff. I'm like, yeah, this sounds great. And then I don't know, but I find that actually the genre of like con artists is pretty poorly represented once you leave David Mamet. Though a random film recommendation that I have not watched since like 2001 or 2002, whenever it came out, was this movie called Nine Queens. I'm not sure if most people are. It's an Argentinian movie, and it is about a con. It's I remember it being pretty good, and maybe more people should watch it somehow. But maybe it sucks now too. Maybe it's aged badly. But it was a good time in 2000, early 2000s.
2000 whatever. I've never heard of it, and
I'm not surprised. Yeah,
I don't plan on watching it either.
That's fine.
But
I mean, you don't watch. Brilliant. You watch Bringing Down the House, and I don't blame you for it.
Well, I mean, we got to break up these Criterion films somehow.
Not just watching Star Trek.
Well, I mean, once in a while you need a little Queen Latifah in the mix in there just to space it out a little bit,
loosen things up
more than anything. Yeah. Casual.
Well, I mean, do you want to hear from some people who hate F for Fake?
I do. I don't know if I can do my patented
side
rundown, but
I think some of these will carry enough weight.
Okay.
First up, we've got Jack, half a star. Fuck up, you old bastard. I hate this stupid movie.
Okay. Is that like... Okay, I mean, he's to the point at least, so... All right.
Fuck up.
Fuck up. I've never heard that one before.
That's
Maybe we should start using it, though.
I feel like you might. I think you might adapt to it.
Fuck up?
Or frig up, as the kids say.
Wow.
That's strong language.
I just never heard it used in that sense.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Rigel DC gave this half a star.
Okay.
Is that like Rigel 4?
Rigel 4? Yeah, it's got to be.
An utterly incoherent documentary, candid camera, mockumentary, experimental film, featuring and narrated by Orson Welles that might at one point have been about uncovering known art fraud throughout the world's museums, but is instead supposedly a gargantuan prank on the audience. A distasteful characteristic IMO. Wells starts out... I don't know, is that a baseball thing? Wells starts out with some light magic tricks, then proceeds to get increasingly drunk over multiple cocktail and dinner parties, babbling and rambling nonsensically, going from subject to subject with every other sentence, flashing repetitious images of a monkey. Oh, the monkey. We haven't talked about that little monkey guy.
Oh, yeah, the dude who just has a monkey in Ibiza?
Yeah, he's just hanging out at the parties and chatting, like going down on Clifford's shoulder and grooming him. He starts grooming him, and man,
He was a cool monkey.
Yeah.
I hope he was treated well.
Forgot all about that monkey.
Mm-hmm.
Reciting prose about a church and never rationally expositing what the hell it is he's getting at. What? If it's a joke, it's related unintelligibly by a madman. After 20 minutes, I was just stunned at the smug, narcissistic impenetrability and just wanted to get off that snooty merry-go-round, and it never got better.
I mean, I think that's a little harsh,
Yeah.
but I mean, who am I to say?
Come on, Rigel. Come on.
Rigel 4 or Rigel 6?
This is Rigel 5. That's
5.
That's the death planet.
We don't go to Rigel 5.
Exactly.
No.
Salty Sea Hag 69.
That could be a repeat offender, no? Or is that just a catchy name?
Catchy. It's all over the place. We all have met salty sea hags. Half a star. Mm-hmm. Perhaps the single most stressful viewing experience I've ever endured. You know that thing when you've got a fever where you have stress dreams that feel like they last for hours, except that when you wake up and it's 5 minutes after you fell asleep, and then you spend the entire night disoriented and aggravated. That's what watching this movie is like, except also the last half hour is dedicated to slow-mo shots of Wells' topless girlfriend boobing around. So that's cool if you're into that.
Did she boob around?
I'm not sure about the boobing around. There's a lot of hey, there's her butt walking down the street again. Here she is walking toward us. Here she is running toward us. And then here's the back. There's her back as she poses for Picasso.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
There's some gays involved in this. There's what's this male gaze all about? And he's apparently he was married. While he was making this to another person, and you're like, oh yeah, hey, here it is, folks. No.
What about it? So I know about the male gaze, but what about the female gaze? Have we encountered that yet?
It's in probably some horror movies. You probably watched some Soska sister movies, RJ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I imagine this person's favorite films include things like, I don't know, The Little Rascals.
Yeah.
Is my guess. That's a good show, actually. So let's go with that.
Scheduled maintenance, my ass. But I got two more for shits. Stephen DeVoist.
DeVoist.
Half a star. Wait for it.
Yeah.
You ready for this?
Sure.
C for crap.
Wow. Terrific. You did it, bud. Good for you.
Steven. Good.
Good for you, Steve. Good for you.
And then one more from Chris. 1 star. I would give Orson Welles the roughest wedgie he's ever seen.
I don't mind the review. I think that's actually pretty good. I mean, I don't know.
He's bully. It just shows up.
Just here's your wedgie, you nerd.
But he'd give him the roughest wedgie he's ever seen. It would be like he's ever felt, he's ever had done to him. How does one see what's on wedgie?
It's easy, dude. You do it in front of a series of mirrors. You
I
ever been
see.
into a house of mirrors?
Oh, this Chris guy, he's plotting here.
That's how I would do it. I can only imagine that's how he would do it too. If I wanted to give a dude a rough wedgie that he would see
for making this movie,
I would really play it up to it. Be like, hey man, you want to go to Whoop Up Days down in Creepsville? We'll get an elephant here. Can walk the midway. It's gonna be great.
Smell some vape fumes.
Yeah, we'll get some vape fumes in there, but you won't be able to tell if it's a vape or if it's just the corn dog stand. You never know. Mm-hmm. And then go, hey, I got a couple extra tickets. Here's the House of Mirrors. Might as well go in for a look. Walk on in and say, hey, what is that? Did you see that? And you say, what is that? And then, right out the ass. All the way. Right out.
Classic. Yeah,
good stuff.
you get it all here, folks. Right here on the Creeps.
If this doesn't bring up our listeners,
Wedgies.
nothing will.
Wedgies.
Nothing will.
Holy shit.
Good stuff.
My goodness. Well, there's no follow through from RJ because Letterboxd is a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's just down. I can't even update my ranked list, so I guess F for Fake is at the bottom until whenever Letterboxd comes back. So if you're checking, I guess it's last.
Fuck it. Well,
I can't change it.
Any final thoughts, RJ, on F for Fake?
I thought it was good, but I can see why upon rewatching you might not take away the same shine. But
yeah,
good to me. So far, so good.
It's F for fine.
F for fine. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, that's fine with me. I don't mind. I don't mind that you just find it fine.
After the break, it's a whole lot of footage of RJ's ass in that mini skirt. And
is this on
all the Italian men are loving it. Better watch out.
I know there's a few who wouldn't be able to control themselves, Jarrett.
Hairy and sweaty.
Allegedly. Well, confirmed.